Welcome to the first episode of Mac Behind the Trials, our brand new podcast series. I'm Chris Chadwick, Vice President of Healthcare Services at Mac Clinical Research, and I'll be your host throughout our series. I'm pleased to say that we've got an exciting discussion ahead about Mac, its journey, what makes it unique, and the trends shaping our industry. This series is a new initiative where we'll explore key topics, share expert insights, and provide a closer look at the people and processes behind Mac's success to date. Mac Clinical Research is a global, full-service CRO with science at its core, with a fully owned network of high-performing clinical sites and many specialist facilities, such as sleep laboratories, a first-in-human MHRA-accredited early-phase unit, psychedelic suites, GMP manufacturing of pharmacies, as well as state-of-the-art laboratories. Joining me today to kick off this series are Jude Warburton to my left, Claire Horsgood, and Dr Shoona Vincent, all key members of Mac's senior team. So, before we dive in, I'd like to ask if each of you could share a little bit about your role and indeed yourself within the organisation. And Jude, I'd like to start with you.
Right, lovely. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, so I'm Jude Warburton. I'm Vice President of Global Proposals. So I head up our feasibility, our proposals and our vendor management team. So I work really closely with our sponsors during the early stages of their drug development, and that's all around the budget and getting contracts in place.
Fantastic, thank you. Claire.
Hi Chris, my name is Claire Horsgood. I'm a VP at Mac with responsibilities for elements of operations and also business growth.
Thank you. And Shoona.
Yeah, hi Chris, thanks very much. I'm Shoona Vincent. I'm VP or Vice President of Clinical Science. I've been at Mac coming up to 10 years. I also oversee the business development and the inside sales scientists as well. Part of my role is to be the first contact where I can with the clients, and we'll talk about that later on, and also work across all the departments at Mac, giving my therapeutic and operational advice.
Perfect, thank you. So, Jude, I'd like to start by asking you, first of all, Mac's really come a long way since it started, and I just want to know if you could tell us a little bit about its evolution and what you've seen as some of its key milestones.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to, Chris, because Mac's come an awful long way. I started back in 2014, and at that time we were kind of small site network organisation with only 4 sites, and we made quite a strategic decision at that point to sort of grow the business and develop into a CRO. So we started that growth in 2016 when we opened up our first MHRA, first in human early phase unit in Manchester, and that was very, very successful, very popular, and that really got us moving. We brought on a lot of new sponsors through that as well, who were interested in the fact that we could do patients and first in human, and through healthy volunteers, and that was really, really important to a lot of our sponsors. So then after that, we realised that we really need to ramp up some of the services that we offer, to keep them all in-house. So in 2018, we opened up our first GMP manufacturing facility, and we also brought in our sleep lab, which we opened up in Liverpool. And again, still growing, still thinking about where we wanted to go with Mac and being a CRO and a global CRO. We then brought in a biometrics team, and that meant we could then offer medical writing, data management and statistics. And we also developed our clinical monitoring skills at that time as well. Again, we've continued to grow over the next couple of years, and then last year we opened up our state-of-the-art safety labs and PK labs, and that's going to be a great offering that we can have because we can keep everything under one house. This year we are opening up our medical monitoring team and also looking forward to opening and starting our pharmacovigilance team as well. So we'll be in a position where majority of our services are now going to be under one roof. So we're going to be kind of that one-stop shop, which I think Claire's going to talk about later on, and that's really a great offering for Mac. So Claire, you joined us around about that time, 2019, didn't you? So your involvement was quite a lot at that time.
Absolutely. It was a really exciting time to join the company. I joined in September 2019. So really we were on the cusp of putting a lot of the services that Jude's described in place. And really what kind of stood out for me was that we were experiencing massive growth and, so many ambitious plans, which were fantastic. And we're going to really be that sort of one option for a sponsor company. But it was really important that to ensure the success of that growth, that we put in place really strong foundations and the right infrastructure to make sure that, everything was seamless then on in. And what was also really interesting was the change in perception, really. So, of course, we'd been around for decades at this point already, but very much seen as a CNS-focused company, seen as a site or a network of sites, and yet suddenly we were able to offer so much more. We were a full-service global CRO with all of these services in-house. We still had our network of wholly owned investigator sites plus laboratories and GMP. So really quite a significant global full service offering. So changing that perception for our sponsors that they now had many more options to choose from at Mac, plus the internal culture shift, was really quite an interesting time to join the company. And Mac was just being seen as so much more than a site at that point.
So it's been really exciting for the pair of you then to see that significant growth and what seems like a very short period of time as well.
Yeah, it's been a fabulous journey, hasn't it? Yes, yeah.
No, that's fantastic and brilliant to see literally how that journey's delivered us to a point where we are what we are today, which is fantastic. So I just want to ask in that case if we can talk about Mac now and indeed how you would describe its one-stop shop CRO proposition. Claire, do you think you can lead off on that?
Absolutely. So really, a sponsor can place any study with Mac. And, as I mentioned, they've got choices, really. We offer choices. So we've got all of the normal CRO services. We have the global reach. We have a full global site network where we can contract with any site. However, they can also choose to contract with Mac sites for speed and for efficiency, and many sponsors do choose to do that. But we're offering that sort of flexible option available to the sponsors. They're choosing us for our decades of experience. They're choosing us for our science-driven approach, but they're also choosing us for all of our full suite of in-house services. And I think that's what makes Mac a little bit different.
No, that's fantastic. So just moving on from that, I just want to see, Shoona, you work very, very closely with all of our clients. What do you think makes Mac truly stand out?
Thank you very much, Chris. Having been a client or a sponsor for many years working in the pharma industry, I was in a unique position of choosing CROs and sites. Okay, so, I have got a pretty good understanding of what the clients want, particularly the smaller ones. The smaller ones are looking for scientific advice, they're looking for medical advice, and they're looking for therapeutic area advice as well. And that's what we offer because, we've done that. We're not key opinion leaders, we're more key operational leaders. So they're looking to us, not just to provide the high level kind of scientific, regulatory, therapeutic advice, but also the operational advice as well. How quickly can we do these studies, etc. That's what clients are looking for. If you home in on the smaller clients, what they're looking for really is an extension of their development arm. And that's where we play a very important role. We become that development arm for the smaller biotechs. And that's what makes us quite unique. Not only do we own and operate our own site, we've conducted many, many CNS studies. Let's just focus on the CNS studies. So we've been there. We know what to expect. We know what the operation challenges are. And we can use our learnings to help guide the new clients on how best they should move their depression study or Alzheimer's studies or other types of studies for. That's what really clients want. I think the key thing here is listening to the client first. What do they want? That's what I train my staff. What are they looking for? and can we fulfill that service that they want? 9 times out of 10, absolutely we can fulfill that.
Perfect. So truly looking at what the customer wants and making sure that we can deliver and support that.
Can I also add, it's not just about the facilities. Yes, we've got the facilities, but it's all about the team as well. How well, the client can get along with the team, whether it's the medical, project manager, CRA, etc. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for a team, basically. And that to us is very important.
Perfect. Thank you. Claire, you've seen Mac grow over the years, as we touched upon previously. I just want to see if you could let me know what you think has consistently set us apart over the sort of last several years or so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. So to me, from an operational standpoint, I find it's our ability to flex. So a sponsor will choose Mac for a variety of different reasons. As Shoona said, it can often be, that culture fit with the sponsor. But it's also really important that we're nimble enough to react and respond to changes, to requests. We can pivot, we can, add a cohort, we can stop and provide an interim analysis. We can lengthen timelines, we can shorten timelines, we can really react to what that client needs. And I think especially some of the smaller pharma companies and biotech companies who are choosing Mac because they don't want to get lost in a larger organization, that's something that certainly sets us apart.
Can I just add to that? We've seen a resurgence of psychedelics, and I think Claire is absolutely right. It's the ability for Mac to adapt and to change and to pivot, which is very important. We can redefine our infrastructure, allow those type of programs to go ahead, and that's what really sets us apart as well. So it's the ability to be adaptable, flexible, and I'll use the word again, to pivot to what the clients want.
That's fantastic. So following on from that, and you just talked about psychedelics, can we just sort of dig into that a little bit more? It's obviously gaining a lot of traction at this moment in time. So how do you think Mac fits into this evolving space?
Yeah, as Jude and Claire said, the backbone of Mac is neuroscience. As a neuroscience myself and working with many people with the Mac or neuroscience, CNS is our bread and butter. And I think psychedelics fit perfectly in that remit. We've done studies in depression, in generalized anxiety, in social anxiety, etc., for other small molecules. So it's easy for us to pivot to do psychedelic studies. Why? Because we have the set and setting. We can adapt our units to provide that proper setting that psychedelics need. We also have raters, we also have therapists, we also have psychiatrists. So it's easy for us to kind of move into that psychedelic space. And by the way, just as an FYI, we've now conducted nearly 15 studies with psychedelics because of that mindset that we have and the ability to be adaptable and flexible around what the client wants.
It's been very exciting to be involved in these studies, and each one is extremely different. And from an operational perspective, receiving these protocols for these new psychedelic compounds, having to, as Shoona said, consider the right set and setting, having to research, link in with advocacy groups, making sure that we're getting everything absolutely perfect for the patient population, for the indication that's being studied, for the type of compound and the mode of action is absolutely fascinating. So we're very, very lucky.
And that's right, Claire. I mean, just to add, when I say we've done lots of psychedelic studies, we've done different compounds of psychedelics, from psilocybin to IV psilocin to DMT to LSD to MDMA. Every one of them has a nuance. And that's where I think the strength of Mac is. We're able to adapt and change the way we look at these psychedelics as well. And don't forget, psychedelics are controlled drugs. And we've actually put a Schedule 1 license in each of our units so we can hold, possess, manufacture, and also dose with psychedelics. And that's quite a mean feat. We've been audited by the regulatory authorities around that.
So really, you'd say that based upon our past experience in that case, it really puts us in a great position to be able to adapt and to accommodate any new opportunities in the field.
Absolutely. I know we use the word pivot a lot. That's very important. Some sites, some CROs can't pivot, whereas we can.
Yeah. No, thank you for that. So Jude, I just want to ask if you've seen any of the trends at all.
Yeah, you certainly have. My team is kind of the first point of contact when any sponsors come through. So we see all the inquiries come through, even even the ones that we may not conduct. At least we've seen what the inquiries are, and normally the trends around about therapeutic areas of interest, and they've had it through the years that have gone by. Sometimes it's been all about doing OA&E, or it's all about doing dermatology, and obviously CNS has always been very popular. So that's been the trend. But then we're kind of seeing now that there's a real trend in the complexity of the protocols that sponsors are bringing to us. They really want to sort of develop as much into that protocol as they can, looking at primary and secondary endpoints as much as it can. And Mac is perfect to work on these protocols because we understand the complexity. We've run plenty of these types of protocols, and we can do the first in human straight through to the patient. And that's quite a niche thing in the industry to be able to do that. What you do find as well is that the trend is that they're really looking for quicker startup times. They're really concentrating on the regulatory timelines. What is very big at the moment, and rightly so, is diversity. So they're really looking for diversity through the patient population that they want to put into their protocol. So that's all something that we can help them with, and we're moving with those trends as well, to making sure that we stay relevant. These complex protocols as well also come with cost. So the trends are then to have quite a lot of scenario budgeting, and again that's where we're able to help out. And we do understand with our sponsors that they have to get the budget right as well. So we're quite happy to work with them, build up that relationship with them where we can do the multiple scenarios, and then they can make the best choice for their protocol. So it is something that we've been working the relationship with our sponsors, because when we're able to work with them from their first in human all the way through to their phase 3, as their CRO, they sort of get that confidence in us, and we're able to build up those relationships with them. So yeah, the trends have really worked for us as an
Just
organisation.
to that, Jude is absolutely spot on. Now, like you said, I see the clients first time. We work with smaller biotechs. Sometimes it's their only molecule. So, we have to guide them. Yes, protocols are complicated. Absolutely right, Jude, because they want to get as much information out of that protocol, I suppose, for the next kind of investor kind of payment. So it's very critical for them. So they need to choose the right partner. And I think partner is a good word. We partner with them, we help them, we guide them. Okay. Sometimes some of the assessments, are quite difficult too. They want biomarkers, they want CSF samples, they want pharmacodynamic techniques. And sometimes we develop new pharmacodynamic techniques as well. Okay, so we have to guide them as well. I think the key thing is, and what Jude's group does very well, is giving them a proper feasibility. If it can be done, we will do it. If it can't, we will tell them. And that's very important. For me as a sponsor, it's not about, the infrastructure or whatever. It's about giving me a proper feasibility, because I will have to go to the board and ask for that money to do that. And that's why it's important to get it right first time.
Oh, I just want to, carrying on from that then, and if I can just ask any of you, given the fact that what we've been delivering historically as far as sponsors are concerned, are we seeing more and more of them coming back to us?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, repeat work's really, really important for us, and that's a kind of indication that we're getting it right. We really want to build those relationships with those sponsors, because they need to have the confidence in us, and we can prove that if they come to us with their first in human. We can do an excellent job. We can help them with the scientific. We've got a great scientific support team that's there to help them on the journey. Very often with these small biotech companies, they're quite small,
Right.
and they really need that hand holding, and we're happy to do that. And our teams are quite excited to be involved at that stage as well, because you're having an input into the protocol. You're actually getting some influence, and you're also helping them on the journey that they're going through. And hopefully that, as it goes, and we've seen that they stay with us into their phase 2 and their phase 3. So this is what, this is the MAC now in its current situation can offer that full service. And we're also developing relationships with non-MAC sites. We're building our site network out so that we can help them, and we can go from first in human all the way through to their phase 3 and help them develop the drug.
I think one other thing to add is the quality of the data has to be. They come to us not because we can do the study, it's about the data we generate, because that data then drives the next step, and it's the quality of the data. Repeat business is about quality of data. And just to give you a couple of examples, we have done first-in-human protocols. These are small biotechs coming out of the university or whatever, and they go on to sell that drug to larger pharma companies, and they make millions of pounds. That's because we've driven that data and that data quality, and that gives us a kind of confidence as well internally.
So, Jude, can you just talk to me about our global reach?
Yes, absolutely. So as part of that expansion, we're looking to be, to move forward and be a global CRO. So we've already made a start with that expansion, and we now have offices in the US, we have them in Europe, and we have them in Asia, including Australia. We're developing lots of site network relationships as well. So we have good relationships with a lot of the sites, the non-MAC sites, so that we can bring them in and we can work with them. And work very closely with them as well, because unlike other CROs, we've had the experience of running sites and having our own sites. So we can build up a really good relationship with these non-MAC sites and get a good partnership. And that's a really good offering to the sponsor, because we've got, we're working on studies, on trials that they understand. So we have really good relationships. We've also got a global biometrics team as well. So they have good reach. So all of our teams can work globally. And we have a vendor management team as well. They're now reaching out globally. So if we need a vendor outside of what we can provide, then our vendor management team can reach out to there now. So we have got a really good global reach, and we're still continuing to build on that as well.
So truly a global CRO then?
Yes, we certainly are, yes.
I just want to ask, is Alzheimer's and CNS research still a core focus from Mac's point of view?
That's interesting, because like Jude, we see cycles. We see large pharma companies dropping CNS because it's not there. We see the pain molecules disappearing, etc. They go through cycles. We did have a bit of a dry spot when it came to Alzheimer's because there were failures in the past. Now there's a resurgence of Alzheimer's coming through. There's a resurgence of the psychedelics that were coming through. And there's a resurgence of pain because they're looking at different kind of modes of action as well. Alzheimer's is our bread and butter. That's how we started off. And what we're seeing is the Alzheimer's disease coming back, but more about disease modification than symptomatology. They're focusing on agitation, aggression, and there are new types of platforms, new types of drugs that are coming on the market for Alzheimer's disease. Would you agree with that, Jude?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had having success in these areas, these drugs as well, is great. It's great for the sponsor. It's great for us, and it's great for the patient population. And we worked with a sponsor last year who had a potential Parkinson's drug, which has turned out to be really successful, and it gives you a lot of satisfaction to be involved in that from the beginning, and especially when they get the success that they need.
Feeding that back as well.
Absolutely, yes. That's that's what we're here to do. So when you can share in that success with the sponsor as well, it's a great feeling. Yeah, very satisfactory.
I think the other thing, Jude, we do very well is we understand the regulatory environment and we understand the ethics committee. Some complicated protocols go to ethics committee and they scratch their heads and questions come out. We go to our regular ethics committee who understand, complicated umbrella type of protocols that we do. So that's the advice and guidance we give, because we have to stand in front of the regulatory and the and justify, doing the lumbar punctures, the PET scanning, etc., and things like that.
Perfect, thank you. Finally, just before we wrap up, I just want to know where our audience can stay on top of latest Mac news and insights. So, Claire, can I ask your view, please?
Of course. So there's various options. Of course, everyone needs to make sure they're subscribed to this podcast channel. We've got loads of exciting episodes to come. So that's Mac Behind the Trials. and we hope to release several more series in over time as well. We have our website, our corporate website. On there you will find lots of additional resources, so you can watch our corporate videos, which will sum up all of the different services and solutions that we provide for our sponsors. We've got our corporate brochures on there, case studies, news, events that we're attending, things like that. We also have our social media platforms. So we have Facebook and Instagram. And of course, we have LinkedIn, and that's where we put a lot of information, a lot of new insights, news. We have features of our experts and things like that. And we also release a LinkedIn newsletter every couple of months. So it's important that people follow our LinkedIn page and also subscribe to our LinkedIn newsletter. So yeah, lots and lots of different ways of keeping abreast with everything that's going on at Mac.
Fantastic. Well, I just want to wrap up by saying thank you to Jude, Claire and Shoona in relation to sharing their knowledge with us today, which has been really, really helpful. And I just wanted to finish by reiterating what Claire said earlier on in relation to asking everybody to subscribe to our channel to stay updated on upcoming episodes of Mac Behind the Trials. And also, don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn for more insights. So thanks to the team.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Chris.
Thank you.